Hello everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Video Clips. And I want to talk about nursing homes and elderly people today and the impact of COVID-19 on them. A 2010 study of American nursing home patients provides some very good data that I think we should be considering in light of what we've been told about how COVID-19 affected residents of long-term care facilities and our ongoing discussion about who the vulnerable people are in terms of both getting a flu or virus and also dying from it. The study was published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society. At the time of the study, the average age of nursing home patients when they were moved into the facilities is 83. The average length of time between when they entered the facility and when they died was 13.7 months. And 53% of nursing home patients were dying within 6 months. The average length of time for men between admission and death was shorter than for women and averaged only 3 months. The researchers reported that at this time, remember talking about 2010, 25% of all deaths in the United States were occurring in nursing homes, and most likely that percentage has shifted a little bit. There's been it's pretty much held steady, the number of licensed beds in nursing homes. What's changed is that we have these new centers called memory care facilities where people who have Alzheimer's disease or cognitive impairment get specialized care. And so the growth in what we would consider the same class of beds as nursing home, people who are confined to a room in some type of facility has grown up in these memory care centers. So I don't think much has changed, but I think the most important part that I want you to pay attention to is that nursing home patients who are admitted, when they're admitted, they generally don't live very long in the nursing home, and this goes back to 2010. So the fact that nursing home patients died of COVID-19 earlier this year is actually to be expected. And I think David Katz, he has a very artful way of expressing certain things, and one time when he was talking about this issue, he made the comment that if you're 90 years old or 88 years old or whatever, and you're confined to a bed in a nursing home and taking multiple medications, you're probably not going to live for years and years. Some people do, but the vast majority of people don't. So something is going to happen to cause your death, and often that thing that happens is the flu. And even though we locked all those patients in, it didn't seem to make any difference. They weren't able to see their family and friends, and they still, there were lots of deaths. Most of the deaths were in nursing home facilities and other places where people were confined. So anyway, so I want to go on now, and I want to read to you something that was written by Peter Bregan, my very, very good friend. Peter and his wife, good friends, and good friends of humanity, I have to add. These people, I've been very blessed to know some incredible people in my lifetime, and these are two of them. And they've developed this wonderful COVID website as part of their website and written some fabulous articles. I've shared them in our newsletter because I just thought they were important for other people to see. So it's interesting for Peter Bregan and Ginger to write about this particular issue of what do we do about the elderly, because they are those people who are at risk. And I think that one of the things that we should have done is talk to the affected people about this and see what they had to say about it. So here's what he says. Some things are more precious than life itself. The awkward hug from a grandson, holding your baby granddaughter, laughing with your own beloved adult child, visiting with fellow church members after service, going to the grave of your spouse of 60 years with your children, sitting around the dining room table sharing stories of those camping adventures you had with the family when your kids were small, knowing that in just 3 days you will be visited again by your daughter, having coffee with your best friend. All of us in society were told we needed to isolate in our homes, first to flatten the curve, and then to protect the most vulnerable among us. Well, we are some of the most vulnerable. We're seniors. Ginger Bregan is 69 years old. Peter Bregan is 84 years old, and Ginger's 93-year-old mother, Jean, lives with us. We spent 3 months literally locked down with no one in or out of the house until last week. Ginger's been cutting Peter's mom's and her own hair with mixed results. The ladies haven't seen a nail salon since February, and in upstate New York, salons are still not open despite the fact that our county is hundreds of miles from New York City. Our car needed a jump start last week because it had sat in the garage for so long. We were beginning to feel that way about ourselves. We live in New York State, but we are some of the luckiest seniors, together in our private home with our 3 dogs and a generous backyard filled with birds and gardens. Tens of thousands of seniors are not this lucky and have been confined to single rooms for months. Our Governor Cuomo spent a great deal of airtime talking about his love for his mother and how we needed to protect our precious seniors. He then proceeded to do in older folks by the thousands by cramming us into lockdown, ill-prepared nursing homes from which there was no escape. And so he talked about the inappropriate way in which Governor Cuomo handled some of the nursing home patients, and this went on in a lot of other states too. Maybe not to that extent, but it happened. But I think the big point that Dr. Bregan wanted to make is part of protecting our seniors was to isolate the nursing homes, not allowing any family or friends in, because visitors might expose the nursing home residents to the COVID-19 virus. This was contrary to every principle of caring for the elderly. There is no controversy about the best way to help the elderly with their overall health, cognitive and emotional problems, or dementia. Keeping them in close touch with the people who love them while providing maximum autonomy and opportunity for a degree of normal functioning is critical to maintaining the mental and physical function of these fragile humans. The restrictions imposed by the lockdowns on nursing homes was devastating to the morale and the health of the patients, destroying both quality of life and life itself. It's time for seniors to be able to look after ourselves again, and it's past time for our society and our economy to open back up. As seniors, we're deeply concerned about the economic health and well-being of this country we love very dearly. We're heartbroken for the friends and family we know who are unable to work and whose businesses have had to close permanently. This pandemic is a tragedy, first for all those who've lost their lives or lost loved ones, and also for the almost 40 million people who have lost their jobs, as well as the thousands of companies that have been driven out of business by the extended shutdown. For the sake of all Americans, including our children, our grandchildren, and indeed for ourselves, open up the country again. Those of us who are getting on in age can take care of ourselves. We can make our own decisions about continuing to sequester ourselves or not. Those of us who need help can have it provided by community resources and the government if necessary. Meanwhile, let everyone else go out about their business and ours, the reviving of their lives and our economy, both of which we want to see them do as soon as we have done before them. We understand from decades of experience and witnessing of history that the old cliches are often repeated because they're so very true. Idle hands are the devil's workshop has been demonstrated again this past week in the riots that have flared up across America in cities large and small. Protests intended to express grief and horror over the murder of another black man by a policeman have been hijacked by agitators who take advantage of the tragedy and pent-up frustrations of our country's youth. We all need to be able to rejoin society, to be productive members of a larger whole. This happens when work is available, when businesses are open, when we can go about our lives as contributing adults in our jobs, in our volunteering, and in our commerce and in our social circles. We seniors will make adult decisions about how we need to protect ourselves. We will probably stay home more, and when we go out, we'll practice good hygiene and physical distancing. We'll endeavor not to touch our faces. On occasion, we may take some risks, which is our right. The world we live in requires us to evaluate risk for ourselves every day, and we have decades practicing this. Solitary confinement, which has been the fate of many seniors in nursing homes and long-term care facilities, as well as private homes, is torture. Seniors in group facilities may decide they don't want to avoid their families altogether. They may decide that they want to see the grandkids and other family members. The non-essential services of physical therapy, dental work, massage, psychotherapy, exercise, and so forth need to recommence. Some seniors may even decide to go shopping or share a cup of coffee on the patio of a local restaurant with friends. We reserve the right to make our own decisions about how to lead our lives and how much to risk. But even if you want to impose a lockdown on us elders, requiring us to stay within our homes, please, we beg you, let our children and grandchildren go. Let our people go. And I wanted to share that with you because the first thing is that I agree with Dr. Bregan. It's inhumane to lock seniors in nursing homes and not allow their families to visit. And some of the most heartbreaking stories that I have read to you on Fridays when I cover consequences have been people who've been separated from family and are just devastated about their mother or their grandmother or family member, grandfather, whatever, is locked in a nursing home, and how much deterioration they've witnessed in these family members, and how much pain and suffering it causes them to not be able to visit them. But the reason I shared this in conjunction with the data that I started this video with is that people in nursing homes do not have long lifespans. Historically, they don't. And what they want to do with that time that they have left should be respected. And what most of these people want more than anything is to hug their grandchildren, to see family and friends, to mingle with each other in the hallways, to rejoin humanity. And I report this information. I know that the people who we need to have listening to it don't, but I'm hoping that this lends some context to the situation. And I think that what's lacking in so much of the reporting is context. Yes, there were deaths in nursing homes, disproportionate deaths in nursing homes, disproportionately affected the elderly. It's been going on forever. And throughout the whole year, we see that people in nursing homes have short lifespans once they enter. And that's a different discussion for a different day about how we avoid that. But the point is that we're attributing a lot of this to COVID when a lot of this would have happened anyway. And we never bothered to ask any of these people, what would you like? Are you willing to give up contact with other people in this facility and your family and friends in order to reduce your risk of getting COVID-19? And I would say, based on what I've seen, the vast majority of people would have said, I don't know how much time I have left, but I know this: I want to spend the time I have left with the best quality of life possible. And being isolated and by yourself and with no real human contact in a nursing home bed, that really isn't quality of life at all. So let's hope that we can end this nonsense of social distancing with the nursing home patients and putting them out in the yard when it's 85 degrees in the shade and wearing masks and all this sort of thing. It's just a continuation of the cruel and unusual punishment that we have inflicted on older people. And I think that you can judge a society by the way that it treats its most vulnerable people. And yesterday I reported the CDC's data on the disproportionate effect of this whole debacle on minorities and on people who are economically disadvantaged, youth, and then now this with the nursing homes. So I think we have to do better. I think we have to do better, and I think we have to demand that our health officials and rulers of us do better too. All right, that's it for today. As usual, pass this on to others who you think might enjoy learning about this and other topics, and I'll be back to you tomorrow with more news.